Hey everybody, Brock Cannon again here, your consumer advocate and advocate of how badly timeshares absolutely suck. I wanted to chat today about an interesting call that I just had. It was a woman who had reached out not too long ago, and we had some trouble. We had scheduled a consultation to discuss her situation. She didn't show up for the consultation, so I had a minute in my schedule today, and I decided to give her a call back. This woman was an immigrant to the United States. English is a second language. Which I always have a lot of empathy for. I lived abroad in Asia for 2 years when I was a young man, and it's so hard to understand and learn a language and a culture, let alone dealing with legal contracts and different things like that. So at any rate, this lady had not paid her maintenance fees for probably about 2 years, and the account was now in collections. I think she owed about $2,800. And after kind of reviewing the situation with her, it was pretty clear that if she continued on the path that she was on, the timeshare developer was more than likely going to just foreclose on the timeshare and make an attempt to recoup the back owed balance that way. So one thing that kind of caught my attention was that she said she had not opened. I asked if she had a copy of her contract first, and she did not have a copy of her contract. She said she had moved a lot, which I can understand. That happens. But the thing that really caught my attention was that she told me that she had multiple letters sitting on her desk that were not opened from the timeshare company. And listen, I want to be the first to admit, I've had times where I've kind of put my head in the sand. I've had, ups and downs in my career. I've always kind of been an entrepreneur. I've had different businesses. I've been in consulting. And I've had times where I had no money. And I've had times where those bills had stacked up. And I've had times where the collection notices had come in. And I absolutely understand and know what it feels like to not want to open those damn envelopes, just to keep them on the desk and hope that they go away. Now that I'm a little older and hopefully wiser, I realize that that was such a negligent strategy. To just hope that something goes away on its own is not a strategy. And I can assure anyone listening that might be in a bad situation where these timeshare companies are knocking at your door for unpaid maintenance fees and whatnot, they're going to pursue you, and it's not going to go away. Their business model is in capturing those yearly maintenance fees until you die. And we can argue all day that that's an unethical model, and I couldn't agree more. But it still has legal bearing. You signed the contract, and unfortunately there has to be a little bit of a sense of personal responsibility. Now, if you signed under false pretenses, that's a whole other story, and that's usually what happens. They lie to you. So get a freaking attorney and get to work on it. But not opening the notices is not a strategy that works. So if you are in that situation, I would just strongly encourage you, open the envelopes, open the collection notices, figure out if your account is still active first and foremost. If it's been 8 years and you haven't paid maintenance fees, I would bet 99% of the time they've already foreclosed on it. You probably were too busy to even open the notice. That is probably charged off or foreclosed on. But if you've got the letters, if you know it's in collections, if you've been getting the phone calls, if you've seen the hit to your credit on your credit report, don't ignore it. The first step to make some progress is just taking the first step. Open the letter. There is no harm in just seeing where you're at. And a lot of people that I've kind of coached through this process have realized once I know where I'm at, I can start making a plan. It's like our brain then goes to work. All right, I owe $2,800 in past due maintenance fees. All right, now I know where I'm at. And that alone should provide a little bit of a sigh of relief. You might not have the money to pay it, but at least you know where you're at. And you can get help from a consultant. You can get help from an attorney. You can try to negotiate the balance directly with the collections company yourself. You can contact the timeshare developer. You can send a letter of hardship. There's a lot of different things that you can try to make that go away. But again, just ignoring it, not opening the letters does not make it go away. So be smart. be an adult, be responsible, and just figure out where you're at. And if you're in one of those situations and you just need a sounding board, feel free to reach out to me. I'll have my email in the link below. Take a picture of the notice. You can send it to me and I'll take a look at it. And from there, I can tell you, hey, here's a couple of recommendations. Here's what I would consider doing. But you gotta be responsible. You gotta take the action, and you gotta at least figure out where things are at. And that alone should reduce probably 50% of the stress. The other half is just figuring out how to solve it. And I'm a believer that there's always a way to solve it. So that's my message for today. If you've got a story to share, reach out to me. I love to hear the stories. I'm a huge consumer advocate. We're trying to make changes in this industry, trying to help people out of these super shady contracts, one contract at a time. And I look forward to seeing y'all in the next video. Bye-bye.